Hello everybody, Kathy here from Paper and Lace Princess, and today I'm here because I'd like to share with you the process that I go through to put together my little storage drawers from Kaisercraft. Now these are the ones that I will be doing today, and as you can see it's a 9 set and it's substantially larger than the last little set that I had shared with you. And as I said earlier, I'll do the process of how it is that it's just my way. It's not the only way, but it's certainly one way of putting these little guys together. So let's have a look at what we actually get in these packs. So to start, you get all of the drawers that are already pre-scored and cut out so they fit perfectly together. And in this one there's a couple of packs of those. Okay. Set those aside, and then you can see basically you've just got all of the wooden pieces that you need to go ahead and assemble these boxes. Now as you can see, you've got your little tabs and you've got these areas that are already cut out, so it's just a matter of placing them all together like a big jigsaw puzzle and just seeing where it all goes. Now I actually like excuse me, before I go ahead and do mine, the first thing I like to do is actually assemble it with no glue, just placing the pieces together just to make sure that I am getting the right pieces in the right places. Then I just go ahead and write on them with a lead pencil so I know which piece is which, so that when I come to cover them, I know, you know, what paper I want to have where, facing up or facing out. So I'll show you in more detail what I mean with that. So because it is a larger set of drawers, it's actually, here it says it's 13 by 9.5 inches, and 4.25 inches deep. So it's quite a good size, very usable. So the size it being, I am going to use a 12 by 12 paper pad, and this one's called Precious Moments. So that's the paper I will be using. The other things I've got ready are some brown acrylic paint and some little label pulls that I'll be placing on the fronts of the drawers. And these ones here are little brass ones, and they're also from Kaisercraft. Little Kaiser Treasures they're called. So let's take a second to see them. So you get the little brads and everything you need to attach them. So there you go. It's that view. And I have found sometimes with these, whether it's to do with the shipping or the way they're handled in store, sometimes you just do need to give them a slight little bend so that they will sit flat against your project. Okay, so that's about all the supplies we're going to need. So the first thing we'll need to do is just go ahead and put a protective layer down on your work mat, your work surface. Pop your little box all together to make sure it's all in the right places and mark it. And then just paint around all the edges. So I'll stop the video, I'll do that, and I'll be back to... Okay, so here we are back again with our box temporarily assembled so that we can see what parts fit where. Now I've done a couple of things here. The first thing I'd like to show you, just hope this stays together. As I said, it is just slotted together. So on the top, I've got the top, which will be the outside top, so I'll know what paper that I want to have showing on the top there. I'll know when I go to cover these pieces. Got the outer right sitting written there, outer left, top shelf, second shelf, and base inside. Also written on the back piece here, got the inside back, and I've got written also the outside back. That's just going to make it a lot easier when I pull this all apart. I'll know what piece is what and what piece is facing out and what is going to be inside the box. Okay, so the other thing that I've done is I've just gone around all of my edges. If there was anything that needed a tidy up, I've just given it a light sand, and then I've gone and just covered all the raw edges with some gesso. So that just helps prep the wood ready for when I paint over that. It will really adhere nicely and give a nice surface there for that, that paint to take to. Okay, so as you can see, this will just all come apart now. And I know exactly what parts are what because I've written everything down on them. Just for me, I just do find that that is an easier way to do this. Okay, so just pop those all aside. The other thing that I've done is gone ahead, I've measured up my box and I've cut all my papers. So I've got one lot of papers here cut ready to go on all the inside. I'm going to be lining each one of my little drawers. And I've cut out my papers that I'd like to use for the drawer faces. Okay, so what I've done to do that is I've got some of these little boxes, well, all the boxes prepped. As you can see, I have painted on the outside the 3 outer sides, and then that will be the front. And I've just painted just the perimeter, just around the rim there. So I've measured these up, and for the base, I need a piece that's going to be 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. And for the front, it will be 3 5/8 by 2 5/8. Okay, so all of that measuring done, what I've done is gone ahead and covered the bottom, the base, this will be the outer side of the box, and also I have covered the front. Okay, now to find where my little handles are going to go, I've just centered that and marked the distance between these 2 holes. That will adhere that down with the little brads. And on the back side, I've painted all of this so it'll be easier for you to see. I've used a white pen and I've marked down 1 1/4 inches. Okay, and then with my white pen again, I've marked that that point where I want my eyelet to go through. And then I've just adjusted my Making Memories punch here so that it lines up perfectly. I've just got to center that white line, makes it very easy for me to see. And then I've gone ahead and punched my holes like so. So the next thing I would need to do is, once this is all dry, is just with a craft knife remove that piece then in here. And then I'm ready to line the box, which on this one, as you can see, I've cut that out. Just given it a little sand to neaten up the edges and just inked around it so that it's nice and brown. You can't see the white of that raw paper. So I've lined the inside with this on this little one, so you can see what that looks like. And instead of having to use my punch again to get the reverse side, I've just used a paper pricking tool, I think it is, and I've just gone through there like that. Okay, so that will be all ready. Now, one little tip I will give you: when you are painting these, make sure on the outer side, not the front, but the side flaps of the box, on this little edge here, make sure that is painted, because the back and the front actually sit inside. They sit inside the sides, if that makes sense. I hope you can see that, so that when you glue that outer edge there of that side will be showing. Okay, so I would go ahead and do all that to all of my boxes, and then I would go ahead and give this a finishing varnish, or use your studio multi-medium, something that's going to protect the paper. So I'd do that first, let that dry, and then attach whatever hardware it is that you're going to use on your little boxes. Okay, the other thing we need to do is make sure this is all of our case here is all painted and dried before we go ahead and cover our paper, cover that with our paper. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll paint all around the edge here, and I'll come back and show you exactly how it is that I cover the outsides of these papers. with papers, and how I reveal these little slots again so that it will all fit together. Okay, back shortly. With all of the outside of our pieces all painted, so the next step would be to cover it all with paper. So I've gone ahead and I've covered excuse me, one piece here to allow it to dry so I can show you what to do. Now it's very important that the pieces you have with these slots in it, that you cover the inside first, not the outside. The outside we cover last. The reason for that is we need to come in and cut out these little slots again so it'll all fit together. But we want to have one flush piece of paper on the outside. We don't want these little things, these little slots showing. So what I've done is I've covered this this piece here. So this is my right out piece, as I've got marked, and I've gone ahead and I've covered that. Now I like to use a good quality PVA glue when I'm covering these little boxes, and I do give it a really good burnish down with one of your scoring tools, your bone folder or something like that. Okay, so now that that has dried, what I will do is I'll go in. Actually, I usually like to use a ball tool, or the end of a round, to anything really, but find where those little slots are and just give it a bit of a rub down, and you'll see the paper will start to give. And it's just going to make it a lot easier when we're cutting that out to tidy it up. So I just turn it around with my craft knife, and I'll just start that. Just move this out of the road, this mat, so then I know I'm not out of frame. Okay. Turn it over, push that down, and I do like to come in from the front to really finish that off. Just make sure that your craft knife is nice and sharp for this. Last little piece here. Then what I like to do is just go in with the file and just neaten those edges up. Just so that when we're gluing it all together, it is going to lay nice and flush. And I do have this handy little round file here that I like to use if I have got a little problem piece. I mean, I am being a little bit fussy here, but that's just me. What you can do is just grab one of your adjoining pieces and just make sure that that is going to slot in there, and it is, that's fine. And it's nice and neat, that's what we're after. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll trim this paper down. I do like to give myself that little bit of extra room along one edge and along one end when I am covering my paper. It's easier when you're laying the paper down than if you were to cut it exact. Then it can be a little bit tricky to get it all on, get it even before that glue starts to set. So I'd rather just trim off a little bit now and make it just a lot easier. Now on this piece here, actually, I can come up on the top. I don't need that, I don't need this little tab here to be covered. That's fine. Once again, I'll just tidy that up with a little file. And once again, just go around the edges with your file and tidy it all up. It does make for a nicer edge too, I think, when you give it a little file. And of course, you can go ahead and ink that, if you would like. And there we have one of the pieces covered on the inner. Okay, so now what I would do, that the inside is all finished, all cut around, your slots have been reopened, then I would go back. Okay, place that down. So this is the outer. I know it's going that way. I'll just open up my glue here. And I'll give this a good coat of my PVA glue. I just find it's easier just to paint it directly onto the wooden piece rather than on the paper. It's up to you. As I said, this is not the only way to do it. It's just one way. It's just my way. Just make sure your glue does go to all of the edges. Okay. There's a little bit there. I'm not sure if that's... There we go. And I will line it up on one straight edge and along the bottom there, just missing that tab. And as you can see, by making your paper bigger, it is so easy to lay it down. Just going to grab my bone folder and push that down, making sure that it's laying nice and flat. And there we have the outside of the box all covered up now. Okay. So I would set that aside and let it dry, and once that's totally dry, then I can go ahead and trim it up just as we did earlier. This time we don't need to open those openings up because that is going to be the inside of the box that's going to hold it all together, and this is the outside, what will be exposed. So we'll just leave it as is. We'll just trim up around the edges, and we'll go ahead and we'll do that to all of our pieces. Okay? I'll meet you back here again in a moment. Okay, so now we're back with all of our pieces all covered in their paper. They've all been sanded all around the edges, and I've gone ahead and I've just inked on the edges that will be exposed. I'm not worried about anything that's going to be all covered inside the box. You're never going to see that. So I've done that to all of the pieces, and they're all ready to be assembled. Okay, so one thing I did note with this one, and I didn't think to mention it earlier, is it is actually a little bit bigger than 12 inches. So your 12-inch sheet of paper doesn't quite make it. So what I've ended up doing for the top is, obviously I've had to join the paper. This is still a little bit wet, this one. So I've joined my paper down this side here, and even though it was butted up nice and tight, you could still see that join line. So what I've done is I've just fussy cut around some of the paper that was in the pack and glued that over that fold line. Put another little fussy cut image there, and another little sentiment in the middle. Now I hope this isn't reflecting on the camera because it is still a little bit wet. I've gone ahead and given it a coat of the gloss multi-medium, and that's going to give that a really nice protective finish, so we'll be able to actually utilize the top, put things on it. So I'll just pop those all aside just for a moment, and I just want to show you a couple of things. Actually, if you are fussy cutting out an image, it is really important to just run around the edge of it with an ink pen. This is just a Zig photo memory pen, and it's a dark grey. I like grey better than black. It's not so stark and it doesn't really look like the whole thing's been outlined. Whereas the grey, it just takes away that white edge, so that when you glue your image down, you've got a much nicer finish. So that's something I always do when I'm doing some fussy cutting. Okay, so the little boxes, I've gone ahead and I've attached the little fronts on them, and I've glued them all together. Now you notice this one's got a rubber band around it, and that's how I actually support the box while it's drying. It's not very tight, it's just on there firm. And when I first put these the rubber band on, for a minute or so I'll just move it, just roll it. Don't try and pick it up, just roll it. And why I do that is so that if there is excess glue here, the rubber band's not going to stick to it, so that when you go to pull it off, it's going to pull your paint and paper. Okay, so really handy little tip, that one. You don't need to have your little clamps or anything like that. And I do use a very fast drying PVA glue to join all the boxes together, because you want that to adhere as quickly as possible. Okay, so I did file around the outside and the inside, as I said earlier. And then what I've done is I've gone ahead with my ink. I've inked all around in here, and I've also just ran it down all the sides, just so that if there was any glue marks there, the ink will just fix that up straight away, and you're not going to notice it. So there is our little box all ready to go inside the case once it's done. Okay, so it's just a matter of gluing this together, and I really do need to wait just a little bit longer to let this totally dry. But one tip I will give you, when you're starting to assemble this, let's move that one out of the way. I find it easy to apply some glue on the inside wherever these little slots are, and then also don't forget to apply your glue on these pieces, the flatter pieces and the little tabs. That way when you glue it down, all sides of the tab are going to have a layer of glue, and also on here, so that you pop it in there, you're going to get a beautiful a good stick to that. And just remember that the glue you use for this, it really should be like a PVA wood glue or something, because this is a wooden thing, and it's going to give it that strength. I wouldn't just use a normal craft glue. Okay, so I'll wait for my top to dry. I will go ahead, I will assemble this, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here we are back with our completed little set of drawers. And aren't they sweet? So I've just got the box angled here a little bit because the light was reflecting on the top of it, just so you could get a view of what the top looked like. And I'll just go around and remove my bits of tape I've got stuck up underneath it. Okay, so here you can see all the little drawers, all completed, and they do slide in and out beautifully. Okay, the other thing I've gone and done is, again, I do this a lot, is I've covered some little cotton reels and then covered the bottoms of them with some paper and hot glued those on. I just think it just adds something to them. So there it is. I hope you've enjoyed this little lot of videos, and look, please inbox me if you've got any questions, and don't forget to subscribe. Have fun creating, guys. Bye bye.